Back in the day, I got hit by a drive-by shooting, and I would have loved to have a match with Bray Wyatt.
Oh wow. All right, everybody. I am here at the Squared Circle Expo with the icon, the legend, the man himself, Rikishi. Thank you so much for coming on to this interview. It's an honor to meet you.
Well, thank you for that introduction, man. It's all good. Thank you.
Definitely. So I guess my first question, I love to ask this to all my guests, is what inspired you to start doing what you do, which is wrestling?
Man, I kind of just fell into it. My uncle's Alpha and Sika, the Wild Samoan, and High Chief Peter Maivia. I used to be the kid that just kind of, pull the bags into the locker room, fix all the chairs, make sure all the, my uncles and them had a place to sit. And I kind of fell into it, Back in the day, I got hit by a drive-by shooting and, just kind of wrong place at the wrong time. And, being a young kid, when you go through trauma like that, it was the most frightening thing that ever happened to me. Woke up, the last thing I see, and my mother's face in the ambulance, and I'm being taken to the emergency and not knowing if I'm going to survive this bullet shot that was hit. And, I was in there 2 months in the hospital. I had no goals of being a professional wrestler. That wasn't even on my mind. And when you're in there for two months, you tend to do a lot of thinking of what your purpose is. And, I come from the Bay Area, streets of San Francisco, and, the young kid being raised in the ghetto, life is rough. And, we all know what happens. You flow with that crowd, and that's what's going to happen, And so I just, made the choice that, it was time for me to, second calling, because I wasn't meant to live. They said I died for 3 minutes, and I wanted to do something, to change my life and, have some type of purpose in my life. And the rest was history. I got sent to Hampton, Connecticut, where my Uncle Alpha lived at, and, my mother is Uncle Alpha's sister. And, the rest was history. Just start to train underneath him.
And so what was kind of the steps that led you on to being the big star that you are today? Like,
Oh,
yeah.
my goodness. Well, I appreciate that. I don't know about being a big star, but I know about putting in time. There was never an easy path in this industry. A lot of people think because you come from the bloodline, you come from the dynasty, that it's a walk through the park. But when you gotta come up against, walking and try to walk in the footsteps, such as the greats as my uncles, High Chief Peter Maivia and Alpha and Sika, there's a lot riding on that. It's not only, trying to be as close as good as they are or better, and then you're carrying the culture, on your back with the pride of who we are. And so, for me, what helped was just, being a sponge and, being underneath their learning tree and really wanting it for me. And the rest was history. I had to go through a few gimmicks to find it, but when I finally found it, Rikishi was the one that took me in.
And speaking on gimmicks, I know that your previous gimmick before Rikishi, I can't recall the name, but it was totally different. So relating to your sons, the Usos, they first came out as, very tribal, like the Samoan dynasty, but now they're kind of more, I guess, hood, they're real street-like. So what do you think, is that just a part of the industry, or what do you think about, them changing from their roots to kind of more,
Well,
heel?
I like change for the kids. I mean, my kids are not from the hood, but the era today, the swag is the different kind of tone of voice, and so I'm all supportive of that. I'm supportive for change, for them to find their way in the industry. But no matter how much gimmicks they throw on you, people always know where their bloodline is, and so they're doing well. I think to be able to see them put their own stamp in their history and legacy in the industry of professional wrestling, and I'm proud that they're continue on moving forward.
And so for you, I've heard that you're tired of taking the bumps, but what was that moment where you were like, I'm done wrestling in ring, like I don't want to do this anymore?
Well, for me, it was when I have all these grandkids popping up. For me now, I've been in the industry well over 35 plus years. I started when I was 17. And I just felt, I made a decision. It's time for me to kind of walk away from the in-ring performance, just so I'll be able to still be able to, chase my grandkids around, rather than, I'm blessed to be able to walk away from the business, not being in a wheelchair and so forth. So the second part for me now in my life is being with my grandkids and being able to be healthy, to be able to spend that quality time. So things like this on the Comic-Con, I love this right here because it gives me an opportunity to be able to, meet fans such as yourself and all our fans here, to hear their stories, what type of impact that, if any, of my career had, left on them during their hard times, the good times, the bad times. And those are, for me, it's important that I hear that, because that tells me then that, I still have more work to do, via the vehicle of professional wrestling, but the outside of motivational speaking and each one teach one, to be able to help each other.
My last couple questions. So speaking on that, the Undertaker just retired fully. Hopefully not, but he retired again and he hung up his cape. So what are your thoughts on him? Finally coming out of the industry.
Well, you know what I mean. Big shout out to my friend Mark Calloway. I've always felt I was happy when we all knew one day he was going to go through, but no disrespect to a lot of the Hall of Famers, and including myself and family members, but Undertaker, he needs to be in the Hall of Fame level by himself. Now, I say this, I utilize this because the platform, we have younger kids that are coming into the industry, and let our lessons and what we've done be their teachings, right? And if we heard that, speech, I don't even like to call that a speech, what he did. He spoke from the heart. There was a lot of lessons learned that we can all take away, even those that are in the industry and outside of the industry, of what this man has mentally programmed and prepped himself up, of everything, of how he became so successful in this industry. The love, the passion, the person that still stays solid of who he was. I love the story he talked about his parents, but he had to do it for himself. So it was a very, very motivational. And I was so happy and I'm proud that I was able to attend his Hall of Fame. And I wish him nothing but luck. But as we say in professional wrestling, never say never.
Say never. So what about you? Is there a never say never?
It's always a never say never with the bloodline.
Right. And so quick three-part. So your worst match or a match you regret, a match you wish you could have had but never had, and your favorite match.
Wow. I want to say Virgil.
So that's your worst?
Shout out to Virgil anyways,
What made it the worst?
Well, we was just, in wrestling, it's just, you can feel when you dance with somebody. It comes very, very smooth. I've always felt like I had to be on my P's and Q's to protect myself with old Virgil. Like, nothing against the brother, but he was one of those cats. He can fit in that category. And what was the second one?
A match that you wish you could have had, or even with the new star that's out, you would like to go against.
I would have loved to have a match with Bray Wyatt.
Oh wow.
Yeah, exactly. I think Bray Wyatt is a hell of an athlete. I love wrestlers that the characters are different from everybody. Nowadays we see a lot. If you're blessed to be a bodybuilder, good. I was never that. So I've learned, I teach the kids in our academy at Knox Pro to embrace your body in professional wrestling. If you look different from everybody else, you're already winning. Now you just got to learn how to work towards your body and make that happen. So Bray Wyatt, he really, really perfected that. You know what I mean? He's not a bodybuilder, but he can go with the best. And he knows like when he does that character and he cuts that promo, like you really, really, you're like sunk into that. Like he hooks you, you know? So big shout out to him.
And then your favorite match, or a most memorable match?
Well, it's not a most memorable match, but I'd have to say for me, I was busting a move with my kids for the first time on Monday Night Raw. I think, in this industry, you always want to kind of leave something memorable for the fans, be it a dream match or a dream moment. And being a father, to be able to grace the ring with, with my kids was probably the most memorable that I'll always remember. So that was for the fans out there, and you guys, thank you for all the love. Thank you for all the support. And
then my last question for you is, what advice can you give to anybody that wants to get into wrestling?
Well, I mean, this business, you got to love it. You really got to, if you don't want to put in 110% all in, then just leave it alone. Make sure that you go to the right people to train you. And nowadays, I tell them all the time, you got the best information thing right here. And you can go on there and you search for the right people that's been there, done that. Don't go to a school because it's convenient 2 blocks away when you know you have a Hall of Famer that's 2 hours away. So I always utilize my own kids. If I wouldn't send my kids to something that's convenient, I'd rather them put in time someplace that I know they're going to be taught the right way. And just, do your best. You'll know for sure if it's for you or if it's not. If you feel it in your gut that this is not for you, then just, maybe the in-ring thing is not for you. But there's always other ways being in part of the industry, being a ring announcer, being a valet or manager, an interviewer, stuff like that. So, there's so much different opportunities now for kids in professional wrestling, because professional wrestling is so much bigger than it is. So bigger it is, the more jobs for everybody.
Well, that's some great advice. And also, how can they find out about going to your school? I know you have your promotion.
Yeah, or you can go on knoxpro.com, on Instagram, on Twitter it's KNOKXPRO.com, or you can follow me on the verified pages on Twitter, Instagram, and IG. You'll see me post up a lot, and that's Rikishi.
Definitely. Well, I appreciate it, Rikishi. It's an honor to meet you, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity.
Yes,
thank you.
Congratulations. Continue the good work, and God bless you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Quick intermission. This is editor me editing the video right now. But it's at this very moment where Rikishi says something that stopped me in my tracks, and I had to start the camera back up. So check it out.
Got it. And I'll send that to you. You know what they always... Which one? Which one do you think I look like?
Roman.
See, I always... Wait a minute. Wait. Before... Can I get this on video? Because if he's saying it, then it's got to be true. One sec. All right, before we end it, who do I look like? Who do you think I look like?
Well, you know what? I have to say this. The tribal chief, Roman.
There it is. Everybody says I look like Roman for the past couple years. Now that I've been working out, I'm definitely
getting... You can pass for my cousin.
That's correct. Hey, I may be we may be long distance, The Rock's your third cousin, and hey, Dujuan Thomas, Rikishi's fourth cousin, twice removed right here. Hey, I want to thank you for watching the video. If you can, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I have many more WWE related interviews coming soon. While I was at the Squared Circle Expo, I interviewed so many amazing people, got so much content. It's amazing. You don't want to miss it. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, and again, thank you for watching.